Hey guys, it's Mike here, and in this video, we're going to be discussing a subject that I've seen a number of different fans throughout the course of the Dragon Ball fandom discussing ever since the Buu saga of Dragon Ball Z. That has to do with fusions, and more specifically, do fused fighters have greater potential than their individual counterparts? Can they achieve more if they were to, say, train as a fusion or stay fused together? Well, in this video, we're going to be discussing that in depth using in-universe evidence to support whether or not they can, and additionally, we're going to break this down for you. So join me in this video, someone you've seen on my channel in the past, the legendary Geekdom 101. How's it going?
Hey guys, it's Danny here from Geekdom 101. How's it going?
Oh, sounds very familiar. But anyway,
yes, indeed.
So the topic of diffused fighters have greater potential. This is something that I've heard many times, and it's kind of like that question.
Who said that?
I've had a lot of commenters ask this over the years. I've seen people talk about it on Kanzenshu. It's kind of like the question like you did on a short recently of what if Captain Ginyu swapped bodies with a fusion, or what if Vegito stayed fused, stuff like that. It is the idea of fusions themselves being more powerful, not just in terms of a power level, but having greater potential than the sum of their parts. Or maybe
I think they do.
Yeah, and I definitely think that that's a great possibility because the fact that we do have evidence in universe that helps to support this. So, for example, we have Gotenks, the fusion of the children Goten Trunks. Now, despite the fact that Goten Trunks themselves were Super Saiyans, a lot of people kind of downplay them. They say they're weak, they wouldn't even beat Namek Frieza, which we know isn't true. But the fact of the matter is, like, when you just look at their performances, they aren't really that far behind Gohan when he hasn't trained, or anyone in like their base and Super Saiyan forms. I mean, look how much Gohan has to like struggle to dodge the rocks. Look how much Vegeta gets punched in the face by his son in gravity when he just goes Super Saiyan in front of him, So there is a little bit of wiggle room. However, this gets amplified drastically after Goten Trunks fuse, because not only are they way more powerful as Gotenks than either of them together, or even both of them just like powering up together, let's say if we just added their power levels together, but additionally, not just that, the two of them together as Gotenks were able to surpass not only Super Saiyan, but even Super Saiyan 2 and become a Super Saiyan 3 just after a little bit of training in the time chamber. That's something Goten Trunks individually don't have Super Saiyan 2, and they definitely don't have Super Saiyan 3. So that to me definitely implies that Gotenks had way more potential and way easier or greater ease of attaining higher transformations and higher levels of power than Goten or Trunks individually ever would be able to. So what are your thoughts on that?
No, yeah, it's there. Like Trunks and Goten never got past level 1, but when they fused, they did. And I think it's a combination of things. First of all, the body of the fused character is more sturdy and much more powerful. It's harder to kill. And secondly, the intelligence. See, what people have to remember is you're taking the brain of two kids to make a smarter kid. Same thing with Vegeta and Goku. When you fuse, that's why Vegito and Gogeta have access to each other's moves. Like you're combining the brain. So you have Final Kamehameha or Big Bang Kamehameha because it's the brain of Goku and Vegeta. So in theory, it's like getting Einstein's brain and I don't know, Nikola Tesla's brain, and combining them into like a super brain. It doesn't just fuse you physically, it also fuses your brain. And I do kind of think that's why they were able to achieve Super Saiyan 3, because they had only seen it once, and that's when Goku did it. They had not trained for it, didn't know how to get there. Goku, we know, trained in the afterlife to find out that form. We never saw it, but we know, right? Goten and Trunks didn't even have to do that. They just saw it and they did it. So that should speak to the fusion. Plus, just look at later on the Buu arc. Vegito, Majin Buu was playing with Buhan, playing with Goku and Vegeta, and even Ultimate Gohan. Vegito shows up. People have said that Ultimate Gohan is stronger than Vegito. Have you watched the series? Have you read the manga? Vegito completely humiliates Buhan.
Yeah.
And like, so I just feel like, yeah, they can get better. The question is, would you have to fuse and then train, or would you just train and then fuse? Usually it's train and then fuse, but in your logic, a fusion should be able to train under being fused. Like correctly being fused and get stronger. But then the question is, when they unfuse, do they keep that power?
Yeah, that's a great point. You have to wonder, are Goten Trunks individually, because it seems like a lot of their training came down to them when they were fused as Gotenks, because we have that little scene in the manga and the anime where they're like exhausted right before Piccolo shows up with Boo, and they're talking about how their timer is only 5 minutes when they go into their Super Saiyan form, which is Super Saiyan 3. So they were definitely training as Gotenks, probably the majority of the time. So when they split, is Goten stronger now? Is Trunks stronger now? How much stronger? Like, do they have the same boost? Like, let's say Gotenks gets 5 times stronger in his base. Are Goten Trunks individually 5 times, 2.5 times, or whatever the fusion multiplier is separate from that? Same thing with Vegito, too. Vegito was meant to be permanent. So let's say, for example, before the retcons, before the bad air inside of Boo or whatever, the two of them stayed fused. Imagine just how insanely powerful they'd be by the time that Beerus showed up, by the time of anything in Super. Like, we thought that Goku going Super Saiyan God made him way stronger. Imagine Vegito going Super Saiyan God. Maybe he'd actually, hurt Beerus in a way higher percentage than 0.00000 Googleplex 1, or something like that. So that is a great point to bring up. You also have to wonder when a fusion separates. Like, does Vegeta now have knowledge of every single ability that Goku had? Because
I made that joke once that when they defuse, Vegeta has images of naked Chi-Chi. Because if they fuse and they retain the knowledge, because remember, when they unfuse, they remember what happened.
Yeah.
Like, they yell at each other and whatnot. So the memory of what happened is still in their own individual brains. So that would think that you'd think there'd be some crossover, and then they know about each other's past.
Yeah, another great thing. I mean, Goku's already seen Bulma naked many times.
That's why I chose Chi-Chi as the example, yeah.
Like, Vegeta hates him more after that. But, the thing is, that's another great question, too. Because we've seen how powerful Goten and Trunks were from just like a regular Saiyan who had a child that was a half-breed. What if Vegito or Gogeta got Chi-Chi or Bulma pregnant? Let's get into that full-on fan fiction right now.
That's so complicated because I'm pretty sure there's like not only fan drawings of that, but there's probably
fan of it.
Yeah, I think wasn't there? I could be wrong, but wasn't there a fan manga where it was like Vegito's daughter or something like that? I could have sworn I had heard there was one.
I've even seen like fan fiction of like Chi-Chi and Bulma fusing and Goku and Vegeta fusing. Like, imagine if two fusions had a kid. Like Gohan would basically be like, Yamcha compared to like what he is right now, compared to like the ultimate Chad child of the fusion. So maybe that's possible too.
Maybe it is. We never got that much information from the old Kai. Like, I would assume that maybe 30 minutes is not enough, or maybe if you're in there getting it on, maybe like it will drain your fusion time a bit. I have no clue, bro. It's a mind fuck. But I think some characters do have more potential than others, like Broly and Jiren, those guys. But what people don't understand is if Broly and Jiren learned how to fuse, if those two characters learn the fusion pose or use the Potara and they did fuse, there's no question that new Broly Jiren hybrid will be more powerful and have all the potential. And that's what I'm saying. Like, the whole thing about potential, like, that doesn't make sense to me because it's literally like a mystery multiplier. There's no fusion that is stronger than its individual parts. It just doesn't make sense. Why fuse then? Why even fuse? Do you lose power when you fuse? Doesn't make any sense.
Well, like Goku and Mr. Satan. Like, do you think Goku would have lost power when he fused with Mr. Satan?
Right. That's obviously the comedy example, but I mean like two fighters.
Or Dende and Goku, when they were going to fuse
I like the ones from Budokai 2. Budokai 2 had like those weird absorptions, like Cell absorbs Yamcha and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And awesome. Majin Buu does it.
Oh yeah. Now what if Majin Buu split and one of them absorbed Cell and then that one absorbed Majin Buu?
And then they all came back together again.
What if Oob and Fat Buu do the fusion dance? Will they be stronger than Majin?
They'll be Kid Buu all of a sudden. They'll be Kid Buu. Huh? Will they be?
Yeah, that's a good question. What if they both eat each other at the same time? Pause. But anyway, like that brings up the question again: does a fusion have more potential than his individual components, I think in universe, it makes perfect sense to say yes. And just imagine if everyone just stayed fused permanently, they would lose so much money in merchandise, but they would be able to be way more powerful because they would make twice as less action figures, so half as less because math exists, and they'd be way more potentialed. Take that, Toei and Toriyama. I don't know why. But anyway, let us know your own thoughts down below in the comments. I'm sure you disagree anyway. But also make sure to check out Geekdom 101. How's it going? And stick around because there's a lot more to come in the future.
And you better subscribe.